Monday night, 8 o'clock, the baddest music on the internet, the baddest intro on the internet. Dialogue with Dozie. That's where you get it every Monday night. YouTube, Facebook Lives. How about your buddies? One of these nights, Madam Producer, the camera is going to catch you in the background dancing with your dad doing the Donald Trump political dance. Well, he's a little bit stiffer than that, but something like that. The Orange Messiah, small M. One of these days you're going to catch him doing it. You're going to be caught in the background. You're not going to know it, but it's going to catch you. You better be careful, hon. Monday night, y'all. How's everybody getting along out there in Dozie land? So glad you took the time to join us tonight. Night's a hot button Monday. You got your boy. And man, we got a lot of hot button stuff to talk about. And yeah, I'm putting on my Southern Steve. We didn't mess with that last week when the Dallas Cowboys were eliminated from the when the Cowboys were eliminated from the basketball from the NFL tournament, as it were, from the playoffs divisional round. My boy Stephen A. Smith, I think was out on the West Coast, do-rag and all. He recorded himself. Oh, he was so funny right after the game was over. And he wanted everybody to know that he would indeed be on First Take Monday to talk about it. I taped that one. It was monumental. He and Shesha had a good time with it. He always talked about how the Dallas Cowboys will never fail to let you down. Dallas is one of the teams I pulled for this year. Kind of been pulling for them since they signed Dak to a contract that he deserved. Hopefully they'll go ahead and take care of this extension. One of 4 teams, my Kansas City Chiefs, are still alive, okay? The Jags, the Dolphins are gone. The Chiefs have held me up. I was prepared to pull for Baltimore. By the way, I was told, in fact, my son told us that they are called the Broward County Ravens because so many of them are from right here in Broward County. Lamar Jackson was from Pompano, of course, and originally, and Jay Flowers is right here with the U School. Coached 2 of his brothers, just a family full of athletes. I understand they had sisters that were outstanding athletes. And so, and then there are others on that team from Broward County, that Ravens team. We're going to talk sports somewhere on the second half hour. On this hot button Monday, there is so much to talk about. There are a lot of things to talk about. The first thing, of course, yeah, I'm back to talking politics, history, culture, all of that stuff. The first thing we're going to talk about is what happened on yesterday. You saw the signs coming on Saturday when all of the morning shows, his appearance of being canceled on the morning shows, his schedule changed. The event started changing. Campaign put out these lies. People started extinguishing their careers immediately, like while they were on plane rides from one stop to another. And then he goes on X, formerly known as Twitter. And Ron announced that he was dropping out of the presidential race. He not only announced that he was dropping out of the race, but he also announced that he was supporting Orange Messiah, small M, Donald Trump. Wow, can you imagine that? A man who held back from really saying what he thought, speaking what he meant, and then all of a sudden against the primary opponent for the nomination, that being former President Trump, well, Donald Trump. And then he actually voting, withdrawing from the election. And before you knew it, there he was throwing his support, vigorous support of his supporters, throwing at the president, to Donald Trump. Can you imagine that? Well, that's what he did, y'all. That's precisely what he did. So I'm trying to maximize my picture. But anyway, that we want to talk about that. And we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in the state of Florida as a result of that, and there's some other things with the campaigns as usual, and just throw some things out there. We're going to talk a little football on the other side of the break, the half-hour break, and we're just so glad that you're with us. Listen, the dialogue is now on its fourth year, 20, 21, 2, 3, 24. No, let's see. We begin in 20, 2021, 22, 23, 24. Wow, we are on our fourth year. Mac, what's up, man? Stick around. We're going to talk about it. And happy birthday. A birthday shout out to our friend Mac Anderson. Mac, you see him here listed as Mac. We want to give him a shout out. So this summer, in June, we'll probably do something pretty fabulous. The one year we did the show from a venue in Jacksonville, we did a live show. We've done a cut-in show where we had all the cut-ins from the previous years, the best of. We'll get with the team, and KV and I, and Madam Producer, and we decide how we're going to celebrate. What? Excuse me. Is that producer in my ear saying a cruise ship? Did I hear that? A dialogue cruise ship? Doing a dialogue with Dozie from the high seas? And did you just suggest that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm joking. I'm imagining. Okay. All right. But how does that sound? We'll do something and make it fun this year. A lot of our people, Mac's been with us from the very get-go. Varner Queen, who was out of the city and has internet issues. Tasha, just so many of you all. My classmate, Bernard Mason, so many of you all have just been with us from the very beginning and been constant supporters of the show, and we are so grateful. This year, we're going to take the show to the next level. There's some things we're going to do marketing-wise and do some other, we're going to get some companies involved. Just stay tuned to the dialogue. We're going to do some of these things. Tonight is Hot Button Monday. Whatever you want to discuss, dial in. Well, we don't dial in. Go ahead. You have to come over. I'm monitoring you on Facebook Live, so hop over to Facebook Live and write your comments, and we're going to talk about that. But let's talk about this event that occurred recently. I guess it occurred in South Carolina. I guess that's where he decided to drop out the race. Ron DeSantis dropped out of the presidential race, and the presidential nomination has now boiled down to two candidates, to former President Donald J. Trump and his former ambassador and former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley. And there's some interesting developments. We're going to talk about that in a second, involving those whom she put in places and done some things with, and how that's worked out. So when she first got in the race, a lot of people said that she was running for vice president. DeSantis was asked the same question, and he said he absolutely was not running for vice president. But Nikki Haley, which would bring a balance, which would give the opportunity for the election, general election, to come down to a male figure who has a female figure as the vice president, to kind of counter our current vice president, Kamala Harris. And so I've been looking at the news for the last hour or so, and I've seen a lot of the real choices that he probably has in mind, including is it Marjorie Taylor Greene? Oh my gosh. And the lady from Arizona, I can't think of her name. They've just shown her tomming up to the Orange Messiah. And while anywhere she made an appearance and while she's being interviewed, there are people standing behind her with Trump signs, young men, I guess, I don't know who they were, standing behind her with Trump signs. But a lot of people say that this really was a dress rehearsal on the part of Nikki Haley to secure the vice presidential nomination. Trump spoke about it over the weekend, and he said that you probably would not be too overly surprised as to who his choice would be. But yeah, so that's what we're facing. So it's a two-person race. This time tomorrow night, we will be watching the results from uh, from New Hampshire. I get it together. It's been a day. Um, we'll be watching the results from New Hampshire, and we'll be seeing how closely she runs to Trump, Nikki Haley, just how close she runs. Recent polls as of yesterday, Boston Globe, Southern University, and other polls that came out yesterday showed that she's way behind, and that Trump may get the 50% margin, which would be almost disastrous unless he ranked in the 50s and she was somewhere in the high 40s. And because DeSantis is still on the ballot, they didn't have a chance to remove him from the ballot. That probably will not be the case, and DeSantis would have votes. So we're going to see how that play out, and we're going to see how that informs her decision on what she's going to do moving into her home state, the South Carolina primary, which is at the end of February. At the end of February, at the end of February. So it's like a month or the beginning. It's a minute away. So what happened to DeSantis? What really happened was, and it's funny because we were just hearing at the end of the week when I was hitting my golf game on Saturday. I was listening to Morning Joe. They were talking about you listen to him saying that he's on the wings, thinking that Trump could be taken out by the legal system, because all polls show that if he is convicted of any of those 4 cases that he has been indicted on, that the American public that has been so bamboozled, that shows him so high in the general polls, that that support will wane. And DeSantis saying that he may be a collateral victor and ascend to the top of the GOP. Is it still GOP? It's not a grand old party now. It is a MAGA party. That's what it is now. Well, the MAGA wing, that he would ascend to the top of that, and he thought that he could dethrone the incumbent president. So this is what we're facing. And then I don't know, he dropped out after just saying that. Now, what happens in political campaigns? The main reason that people drop out is that their funding dries up. And DeSantis did not try to hide the fact. And this was just Friday, knowing that he was going to be withdrawing from all of those appointments on Sunday that he was booked on, Face the Nation, Meet the Press, and a third national thing. And knowing he was going to be withdrawing and making his announcement of withdrawal, he still put it out there that I'm running so that I can be sitting in the wings in the event that the current front runner is taken down by the legal system. And wow, who knows? Maybe those trials may not make it prior to the general election. The Washington, D.C. trial, where the judge has been adamant about a March 3rd beginning, has already been pushed back. We don't know how far it's going to be pushed back because of some of the legal proceedings leading up to it. You know the way Trump does it. It's about delay, delay, delay. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to push everything back. So in delaying, it gives them the opportunity to hopefully, on his part, get elected so he can pardon himself of all of those indictments. And if that were to happen, how sad that would be. It would be like, this guy just gets out of everything. Who does that? Who gets out of everything? Every indictment, every lawsuit, everything he finds a way to evade. And that's been his history. Wow, I guess kind of started on the national scene when he got out of going to Vietnam, or serving in the armed forces, by saying that he had foot spurs or whatever they're called that prevented him from going. So DeSantis knew all of that on Saturday, Friday, when he made that statement. However, he did still stay in the race until Sunday, when he officially posted that he was not running. And he was not dishonest in showing how one of the reasons he's not running is that his funds which is what leads to a lot of times people dropping out of political campaigns. His funding was drying up because of his poor showing in the Iowa primary. He was poor on both sides. He was in second place, a very distant second place to Donald Trump. And then the fact that Nikki Haley, who was in third place, was as close to him as he was over there in Iowa. So his funders. Let's investigate what could have happened to him. Was he not the darling of MAGAism? Wasn't he the person in waiting, self-stated? What happened? Didn't the polls show him early or in the last 6 to 8 months showing him to being the darling of the Republican Party or the MAGA Party? Didn't it show him easily beating the incumbent president? Didn't it show him high in the polls? What could have happened? I just looked at the opening to the readout with Joy Reid, and I'm going to have to go back and look at that. I'm going to talk about her show the other day too. But she opened her show tonight talking about this same thing, and she presented him as a clown and the Republican Party as a clown show. Now, I think he would be hard pressed to refute that, but she stated it so eloquently, and she kept calling the reason that he's a clown. First of all, here's a man who, and all of the news media over the weekend has been showing his original when he ran for governor, he did it on the coattails. No, he actually climbed on the back of Big Papa Donald Trump, and his commercial was his kid sitting down with building blocks talking about Uncle Donald building the wall. Are you kidding me? He's sitting there. He's sitting there. I think you're right, Mac. I want to hear what said. Mac saying the polls were pro DeSantis rigged. That probably was, and that was probably got him out and exposed him. See, people in political campaigns, they do a lot of things. They want to expose where your support's coming from, where your money's coming from, what wing of the party is inclined to support you, and so yeah. So the polls were likely rigged, and I want to tell you, these polls are rigged. So don't hang your hat too far on them. But he ran for the governor of Florida, and he won by 30,000 votes. He won by 30,000 votes. And in winning against the Democratic opponent, who happened to have been Andrew Gillum, the African American former mayor of Tallahassee, they stopped all returning citizens who had won the right by referendum to vote. They put a limit on it until they decided how they were going to get them to pay for fines and court fees and those kinds of things. So returning citizens were unable to vote. So DeSantis won by 30,000 votes. In fact, he won. Rick Scott defeated Bill Nelson for the state Senate seat by a very close margin. I think it was 18,000 votes. And so now we're stuck with all of these extreme right-wing people who have demonstrated a propensity not to stand for the hodgepodge of people, meaning Florida is not just a white state. It has Hispanic American, Native Americans, African Americans, Haitian Americans. It has a large group of hodgepodge of people, and none of the policies that have come out from Washington, Scott and Rubio, or from the state level from this guy, DeSantis, which we on this show call Ron Despicable, have been to the benefits of our people, or of poor people, or of minorities in the state. And so he plays this card. His children, he has his child down there. He gets elected by a small margin. and soon gets elected. And here's another thing. If I was a state senator and I wanted to run for a statewide office in the state of Florida, I would have to resign my Senate office. And that's how we lost a lot of good elected officials. They chose to run for high offices in the state or nationally. Well, upon doing so, well, when I say nationally, if you run for a U.S. senator, that's still statewide. When it came time for this guy to run for governor, when he announced that he's running for president, the legislature dropped that requirement and made an end run for him to be able to run. So, I mean, corruption and cronyism and all of that stuff just runs rampant in that party these days. That's why, folk, we got to vote. We got to get out and vote. Okay, so I'm spending too much time talking about this clown. So he got in office. When it came time to run, and President Trump was, ex-President Trump, former President Trump was running again, he turned his back on the person who's most responsible for him, his endorsement, made it possible for him to be president. He turns his back on him and he runs against him. That's what he did. So he ran against him. And now he had commercials when he first entered the race, the presidential primary. He was quoted as saying that to have an advantage in the state in the MAGA Republican Party, you had to bow down to the reign of the Orange Messiah. And then that's just what he did. And as soon as he withdrew from the race on Sunday, guess what he did? You know what he did. He went and endorsed President Trump. Now, here's the other part about these people endorsing President Trump. Remember when they were trying to do a George Floyd police reform bill nationally, and Senator Tim Scott, former presidential candidate Tim Scott, and Cory Booker represented the team of the Democrats that were negotiating with the Republicans to try to come up and make that a joint bill. Tim Scott held out on these MAGA principles that the Orange Messiah, Orange Hitler talked about the other day. The police should have the right to do this and do that and not be not be convicted for it, not be indicted for it. Well, when they were negotiating, he held firm, just like now. The Speaker of the House is probably going to hold up the aid bill because former President Trump, the orange guy, doesn't want him to do it. He does not want the current president to get any credit politically. So this guy, Scott, he on the recent days, first he shows himself bowing down at the beach. His engagement was, he had it photographed and everything. And then he comes back and he endorses former President Trump. And just saw a film of that earlier today. It was totally embarrassing. It was, I'm not going to use the word, but y'all remember that uncle, right? Uncle, yeah. So Uncle Tom, Uncle. It was that at its absolute worst. You'd have thought he was endorsing. It was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. Well, Nikki Haley is the person who nominated him, who gave him that Senate seat. She plucked him from the South Carolina House of Representatives, from the legislature, and made him a U.S. senator. She nominated him. He passed as U.S. senator. And he, in turn, turned his back on her as she's running for president and is supporting Donald Trump. Well, that's what Ron Despicable did also. So now the strategy from the Trump camp is to show that line up all of the people who are supporting him. I haven't even had a chance to talk about DEI. That's the recent thing that passed in this state that the I won't say it passed, but the Board of Education passed this bill, DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. That cut it out, and I'm gonna read right from their website. I don't want there to be any mistake about this, about what I'm saying about it. The rule adopted by the Florida board defined for the first time and affirmatively prohibits Florida college systems, institutions from using state or federal funds to administer programs that categorize individuals based on race, on sex, for the purpose of differential or preferential treatment. The board's decision will ensure that taxpayers' funds can no longer be used to promote DEI on Florida's 28 state college campuses. Wow. Florida, one of the most diverse states in the nation. Florida, who has a population of the biggest pool of people from across the world. Florida, known for its diversity, appreciated for its diversity, lauded for its diversity, passes a bill or adopts a policy which cuts that out: diversion, equity, and inclusion. Why am I shocked? Why am I surprised? That's consistent with everything that this governor has promoted in this state. Wow. We're almost back where we were in the 60s when there was a group called Ku Klux Klan, had a lot of political influence. We're back to the Jim Crow policies. So that's what has happened. And that's what they've done. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it today, because what I want to do is I want to have somebody from the educational community on in the upcoming weeks. And I also want to have somebody from the civil rights community. And if you know any right wingers, any MAGA Republicans that want to come on and debate want to purport this policy, be glad to see them also. Okay, the Board of Education also replaced this course. It was an essential course called Principles of Sociology. They've taken it out and replaced it with an American history course, that does not give all of American history. An American history course that does not talk about slavery, does not talk about the brutality, does not talk about economic empowerment for one group of people over another group of people on whose backs they earn that empowerment. It does not. It's a course that blights the real history. Wow, unbelievable. So that's the state of events. Kind of in a nutshell, that's how we're living here in Florida. That's what's going on. That's how it's happening. Yeah, and so we're looking at all of these things, and we're just hoping that it does get better, that some better things start happening. But again, the only way it's going to happen is in spite of all of the suppression laws. Heck, they have suppressed our voters' rights for the longest. They've got a new wave of it now. You know, you can't give people water. You can't stand in the place of somebody in the poll line. All of these things, all of this craziness that they've done, and there's no explanation for it. It's easy probably to get in the military, the CIA, than it is to vote in a lot of these southern states, these states that have suppression, these MAGA states. I never thought I would see my beloved Florida be one of these states. When I was away in school and working, and when I was just couldn't wait to get back to Florida, and I almost had like a superiority complex because I came from Florida. Now you're almost embarrassed to say that that's your home state because of the political atmosphere and the political climate. We'll get it worked out. Let's go to break. GoGigaWorld.com, man, their music is the bomb.com. Their music is so awesome. All of the bumper music, the intro, the outro music is just on hit. That's just one of the aspects they do. They'll design a music for you that'll be internet friendly, and they will put you in the forefront. They'll make you look good. Their productions are A1 first class. You saw some of the people that they have produced, they're doing work for. Your picture needs to be there, and your show, you need to be the centerpiece for GoGigaWorld.com. GoGigaWorld.com. That's who you contact. That's who you call. That's who you get. They'll do all of your virtual and web building work. GoGigaWorld.com. Well. It's been a while. It has been a while. But guess what's back on the forefront tonight? Dang dog. Dang dog. And guess who's in the dang dog? If it ain't my good buddy, I've been talking about him a lot tonight, Governor Ron Despicable, a.k.a. Ron DeSantis, or is it DeSantis, or whatever it is. It's that guy. Dang dog, you have done everything to embarrass us nationally. Dang dog, you went up the hour, you put on shoes, you put on extra heels. Hey, how could you even walk like that? You did everything to make your little short self look taller. It's kind of a Napoleon complex, I guess. Dang dog, you went up there, you tried to be so MAGA that you forgot some of the virtues that made Florida the state that it was. You tried to make our state a version of MAGA world, and it was so MAGA world that it was so magged out that it messed with some of our economy. You took on Disney, you took on the people that made our state a place to work, a place where jobs were available. You came against the woke agenda. Dang dog, look at you now. You're back home because you didn't survive. Dang dog. I wonder why the funders took their money back. I wonder why they didn't support you. I wonder why your campaign never took traction. Dang dog. You exposed yourself, didn't you? Ron. Dang dog. I heard my good friend Bishop Rudolph McKissick talking about it yesterday on Politics Nation. He said the only thing about this is because you lost, because you were rejected in the national campaign. Woe on the poor people in the state of Florida. Your history is that when you lose one place, you come back with virtual and with vigorous virtual spitting at the people that you do have some control with. Dang dog, we got to monitor you these next 3 years. We're gonna have to censor you. You have to work hard to keep you in control. Dang dog, I saw pictures of you with a fake smile, a plastic smile. You really embarrassed yourself. Dang dog. Welcome back to Florida. Try not to pollute us too bad. Ron Despicable, governor of the state of Florida. Dang dog. I'm done with you. Okay, Mac. He says if the political rules we followed brought us to this, of what use were the rules? Great question. So, Ron, Mac, excuse me, I didn't mean to say that. What's going to have to happen, Mac, is that we're going to have to vote. We'll have to push voting. We're going to have to encourage voting. We'll have to drive people to the polls. You know that you can't even do that now. You know that you can't even drive people to the polls. Third-party registration companies cannot even drag people. Third parties, activists cannot even drive people to the polls. Can you believe that? They've done everything, but we always find a way. We always be creative. So we have to get around the rules. We have to work through the rules. One of the rules is Joy Reid had on her show, and I noticed that it has been highly YouTubed and it has been highly viewed on YouTube. Let me see if I can pull it up. I had it, showing it to a friend. Her Friday show. I would really ask you to look at her Friday show and see and see if you can. She had the lady on her Friday show that was Moms for, what was it? Moms for Liberty. Is that the name of that group? And man, she let her absolutely have it. Moms for Liberty, co-founder, was on the show with her. It's on YouTube. Pull it up, look at that, and look at the things that she said that we have to do. This lady was proud of the fact that you can go in, one parent can go into a school library and say that book is not what they want in the curriculum, and a right-wing panel will quickly remove it. And so I saw Bishop McKissick say on the national stage yesterday on Politics Nation, he wants some minority parents to go in and pull some of these right-wing, some of these unfactual, some of these half-truth books, these history books, go in and complain about them. And let's see, that you talk about playing by the rules. Let's try playing by their rules and see if we can pull those things out and see if pulling those things, getting those books removed, if they're going to play by the same set of rules. We know that playing by the rules does not usually work for us. We know that. That's how he got to run for president, because under Florida rules that was passed by his group, those MAGA Republicans up there in Tallahassee, you could not run for a office while you were holding state office. But when it came to him, they made a way around the rule. So I still say, vote, vote, vote. When you're 16 years old now, when you know somebody's 16 years old, pre-register them to vote. People who have not voted in the last election cycle, they do it now. They do it right away. If you don't vote, they immediately purge your name from the voters' rolls. So let people know that their names have been purged because they voted a couple of cycles ago. If they didn't vote during the last cycle, then their names have been purged from the rolls. So they need to go and re-register. And there's a time period that you can register to be able to vote in a particular race. So that's how we beat the rules. We beat the rules. That's how we did it. We listen. One thing God, Almighty God, has never done to us. He has never left us to where the rules totally control us. There were always ways around. There were rules, there were laws in the civil rights and the Jim Crow era, and people like Dr. King, Ralph Abernathy, Andrew Young, Jesse Jackson, and others. They found a way around them. They protested around them, and they got rules changed. And then we formed majorities, and we got people voting. That's where we got to vote, vote, vote. And we overcame these obstacles. They're just obstacles. Listen, no obstacle stopped Jim Brown, did it? Jim Brown ran over an obstacle. We ran around it. He outran it. Liz outran it. What did I say? Outran. Sorry about that, Mama. Outran, not ran that. Outran that obstacle. So that's what we have to do to overcome the obstacles that they have put up before us. There's always going to be giants. When the Israelites spied out the land that God had created for them, they saw giants in the land. But people of faith, Joshua and Caleb, said that we can overcome them because they heard the word of God saying, you will go into the land. And that's what we have to do. We have to go in. Those rules, those laws are simply giants that we have been equipped to overcome. Okay, I'm going to get, in the upcoming weeks, I want to get, your boy been very unpolitical, uncontroversial. We haven't done any of those shows going into the beginning, like the Thanksgiving holidays, and I didn't want to spoil the Christmas season with this stuff unless it was just something we had to talk about. But now that we're dead smack in the middle of the season, man, vote, vote, vote. Donald Trump he's gathering a steamroll. The polls are pointing in his direction. Y'all can sit here and talk about the current president hasn't done this for your group and hadn't done that. Go back and examine the record. And when you examine the record of Donald Trump's presidency. Yes, he did pour money into HBCUs, and we have to applaud him for that. We appreciate that. Thank you, Omarosa, because we know you helped to push that. But you know what? The overall policies, the atmosphere that was created in this country That's why we have all of these far right wing supremacist groups, and we have all of this. It has been dangerous for certain people. All of that happened because of the atmosphere that was set, the tone that was set by Donald Trump. And so you don't see that happening now. Go back and look at the job situation, look at the economic situation. Even Fox News had to talk about how good the economic report came out. They came out this past Friday was. Examine it. Don't you listen. Examine the record for yourself. Inform yourself. I'm not trying to push, but sometimes you look at the alternative. I happen to think that we've had a pretty good job done, but look at the alternative. Look at the 4 years compared to the previous 4 years. Make an informed decision before you vote or try to influence somebody else. Let's talk about some other things. You may not be happy for the Packer fans, may not be happy for the Texans fans, may not be who lost yesterday, may not be happy for the Bills fan. Oh my goodness. Why didn't I pull a picture of that brother crying? May not be happy for the Buccaneer fans. And shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of the 3 teams in the state of Florida, the 3 NFL teams in the state of Florida that were headed to the playoffs and should have made noise in the playoffs. Tampa Bay, you guys won a game, and you really played a heck of a game in the divisional round that should have qualified you to get to the championship round. Baker Mayfield made a fatal mistake yesterday. He has been great. Hats off to you, Baker. Tampa Bay, thanks for holding up the state as well as you did. Let's see. Max says Georgia was the last hope of conviction, and that is in limbo because of the DA's misconduct. Well, that's still, Mac, I'm not ready to call it misconduct. We're still looking at that. Yeah, so that's a state conviction of the president, of the former president, and he does not have the power to overturn that even as president. But if he got convicted in the state, and God forbid he won the presidency again, what's going to happen? He goes to jail when he leaves office. Man, if he leaves office, if he gets in the stuff that he says he's going to do, hey man, when people tell you they're going to do something, especially when you've already seen their record, their propensity to do something, be careful because they'll do it. And that's what he's amped to do. He's amped to try to stay in power. He's going to release, they refer to him as January the 6th hostages. Hostages? When you go and you raid the U.S. Capitol and the vice president has to flee with the Secret Service, the Speaker of the House's life is in danger, you call them hostages? These people who have done it, who pled guilty, not because it was the easiest way out, but because they know that's what they had done, you call them hostages? Yeah, so we're not going to write off Fannie Willis yet, Matt, because I saw there was a change that the judge who's looking at the potential misconduct, and the misconduct he's talking about is that the attorney general, not the attorney general, the district attorney brought somebody on the prosecutorial team whom they're both single people. They were involved with each other. They had a relationship, and she brought her on. So, man, if you look at that, and I worked in law enforcement, people always brought people that they had some kind of relationship. It was a business relationship, a familial relationship, a distant familial relationship, or something. They always bring, hey, Curtis, how you doing, brother? So that always happens. So we're going to look at that. That's just that. Hey, man, that's hats off to Trump's defense team. They're pulling every hat that they can to try to overcome this thing, and that's what they're doing. But that's just a diversion. That's just a diversion. Man, diversion, spiritual diversions. Sometimes when you're praying, and everything is on your mind, pops up on your mind, your schedule, everything will start. It's just a diversion that the enemy puts there to try to get your mind off of the real, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. And that's all that is. It's a diversion. Okay, good. Okay, now I'm trying to talk a little football to get that stuff off and bring some experts in to help talk about that's particularly that DEI rule of the Florida Department of education, segregation, for the Department of Segregation. I want to bring in some experts in the next coming weeks to talk about that. So we've had the divisional rounds, we had the wild card rounds, and we could even talk about the new format for football, that when they introduced the 17 games, what they did was opening up and had another playoff team thrown in the mix. They took away one of the what do they call it when you don't play that week? You don't play that week, whatever it's called, bye week for a team. They cut out one of the bye weeks, so now 3 of the division winners have to play a game, and 2 wild card teams play each other. Is that how that goes? So yeah, thanks, Mac. Couldn't think of it, man. That brain froze up on me. So we've had some pretty good games. The championship games were particularly, not the championship, but that's this upcoming week. But the divisional week was a good week. Let's look at the games. The Packers, man, Jordy Love, what an extraordinary talent he is proving to be. These young men, he and C.J. Stroud, man, they are some ballers. You're going to be seeing them. They're the next Patrick Mahomes, the next Josh Allens, and the next Lamar Jacksons. They are that. Yeah, you got some ballers there. So Stroud led Houston up to Baltimore, and Baltimore actually put them down. But it was a game for a halftime. That was an example of a team making a good halftime adjustment. Harbaugh went in, and his coaches made a great halftime adjustment. Great halftime adjustment, and that was a game, and they stopped that from they kind of shut them down the second half and and showed their dominance, and they went on to win to set themselves up for the championship game. And then the other games were we saw Green Bay went out there and basically gave that. So that was not so. Cowboy fans, take be confident. You didn't just get surprised. You ran into a buzzsaw because you saw an up and coming team. That Green Bay team is up and coming. Jordy Love is extraordinary, and they have a great defense. And that man, that brother Jones, that running back is off the chain. So you're going to be seeing this team up and coming. The Lions are going to be dealing with them for a while in that Central Division. So they went down because of an ill-advised throw by Jordy Love that caused that game, that gave San Francisco that win. And then on yesterday, you saw the first game was, like I said, Tampa Bay. They were driving, had an opportunity. Well, they were trying to start a drive, had an opportunity to drive and try to be in that game against their foes, the Detroit Lions. And Baker Mayfield threw an unfortunate interception there at the end. And if you go back and look at that, he threw the ball to the right and threw a bad pass to the right. He had a receiver just about 5 feet to the left of him that was wide open. And if he had passed that ball to him, he would have got, let's see, Green Bay should have challenged the goal line 4th down play. They should have. They allowed them to go ahead and kick that. Well, they should have. That should have been challenged. But did that come in under the NFL challenging or viewing that play? I don't know. But yeah, Mac, I got your point. But they still had the opportunity. They had the opportunity, and they kind of lost that opportunity. Then Patrick Mahomes, boy, man, he's just a bad brother. Josh Allen is an extraordinary talent. I listened to, and I'm gonna go back and look at the sports shows from this morning, First Take and Undisputed, that I taped them. I'm gonna go back and look at them because there was a lot of people saying that Josh Allen, they were like decrying him, saying that he's underachieves against Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, that brother did everything he needed to do yesterday. He ran, he passed, he scrambled, he was never sacked. He did everything he needed to do yesterday to win that game. Whereas Kansas City is one of my teams, and I pull for them. And you ever look at a game and man, right after kickoff, your palms start sweating and you try to be cool and play it off. And wow, that whole game I was sitting there, I said, man, these guys got to pull this game out. And that defense finally caught their niche and they pushed hella Bills. And the offense of the Chiefs took over and did what they had to do. And for the dear people in Western Upper New York, man, it happened to you again, wide right. We know that from what happened down in the Whitney Houston Super Bowl there in Tampa when you lost to the Giants on the missed field goal in the last seconds. It happened again. That would have just tied the game. Who knows what could have happened in overtime, but we know what did happen. You guys are staying home. Kansas City goes to Baltimore to play the Ravens for the AFC Championship and the right to represent that conference in the Super Bowl in a few weeks. Listen, I'm so proud of the Chiefs because everybody thought that because this is this group's first time playing on the road in the playoffs. I heard the comments of those guys that said, man, we just coalesced, we came together, we put our heads together, we bonded as brothers, and we went up there and we did what we had to do to win. They have to do it again to beat that Baltimore team because that team ain't playing. It's going to be a good game. I exist in Broward. I live in Broward County. This show right now is emanating from Broward County, but I won't be pulling for the Broward Ravens. I'll be pulling for the Chiefs. If the game goes the other way, I'll live with that. But I'll be pulling for one of my favorite teams. Okay, Brian Sipe, Danny White suffered losses, but were great players. Josh Allen reminds me of them. Wow, great history, Mac. Great history remembering back to then. Brian Sipe definitely should have been there. We know what happened with that fumble when Mac fumbled that ball going into the end zone. And Danny White, well, Danny White just so happens he came up. Let's see, he had to play against. He came up against the era of the Niners when they were just finding their niche and the end of the Steeler niche. Let's see, did the Steelers beat Danny White or did they beat Roger Staubach? I know they beat Staubach. I'm trying to see if it was both of them that they won and those two monumental Super Bowls they had. Those teams just had to deal. That's a great comparison, man. I tell you what, Josh Allen, I take him in a Cincinnati second, as my dad used to say. Brother got game, and he got hard. He got determination. He's a tough guy. So Danny never made that group. Okay, so he never made it against the Niners. Yeah, he was a quarterback of the Niners when the catch was made out in Frisco that propelled San Francisco to their championship wins and their dynasties. So yeah, Danny White was a good quarterback. I don't put him on the same plane as Josh Allen because remember, guys, Josh Allen is 6'6". Not too many people want to get in front of that steamroll. I have to take him down though. I think I liked yesterday that the referees let those guys play and didn't call those tic-tac fouls. Or, I think they made good determinations if it was going over the line. I was one time Josh Allen was pushing a foul, and he does that. And when the foul stopped and the whistle blew, there was like a hit even after that, and they didn't call it. They took him to the ground. There was a hit on the sideline that could have been called, and they just let them play. I appreciate that the referees did not take the game off the field and take the games into their own hands. He played in 3 NFC championships. Wow, that's got to be a heartbreak. You go 3 times and don't go. So I know they lost to they must have lost to the Giants. That was on the Giants' reign, and they lost to the Niners during that Montana Steve Young reign. Hey, speaking of that, man, I'm going to listen. I'm going to miss some football tonight. Usually, I'm going right over to the TV when the show is over. We're going to miss some football tonight. We didn't mention the College National Championship. Kudos to the Michigan Wolverines. Kudos to Jim Harbaugh, who went up there and built the program. Hey, Jim, yeah, you could be there and be a dynasty, but why? Man, go to the league. Go out there to San Diego and get that championship that you came one player with from winning against your brother back in the late 2000, in the early 2000, 2010, 11, somewhere around there, when you lost to your brother, when the Ravens lost, which was Ray Lewis's last game when he retired after they were able to hold you guys. Colin Kaepernick's real last stand. Hats off to y'all. Hey, we had a couple coaches be moved. Pete Carroll, that's surprising. Bill Belichick, maybe not as much surprise that he was moved, but that legend is being called that they made a mutual decision to move on. But the real one was Nick Saban. Hats off to that guy. He broke my heart as a Gator fan many times when he finally beat Tebow in that during Tebow's senior year and went on and started the dynasty at Alabama. You know me, you know I despise Alabama. But boy, I respect the quality of their program and I respect the coaching. And yes, Nick is the best to ever do it on the college level. Man, kudos to you going out the way you wanted to go out. And I know I had problems with FSU not getting in the Final Four round, and I had problems with you guys getting propelled, and Texas getting propelled, and Texas got propelled just a week away for you guys. But hats off to you guys. You played a great game against the national champion, right there in overtime, in overtime, and just hats off to you on a marvelous, a fantastic career. Okay, so we've covered a lot of stuff tonight. Miss my brother tonight, my partner in crime, KV. We'll be looking for him in the upcoming weeks. We've talked a little politics. We talked a little culture. I'm not talking about all that stuff that's going on. The internet is really a buzz about P. Diddy and the black Billy Graham. I'm not dealing with a lot of that stuff right now. But hats off. We talked about college. We talked more about pro football. Next week, we'll be talking, or in the upcoming week, we'll be doing a pre-Super Bowl show. Me invite Coach Reagan, Coach Davis on, who retired as Plantation as a giant in Broward County, won a state championship, was just a few games away from being a 200-game winner, which only one coach here has done. And in the state of Florida, maybe we'll get them and some others to come on. We talk as we get ready for a Super Bowl preview. The week in between, maybe we'll do that. And we're going to always talk politics because it's just that season and it's just that critical and it's just that serious. And it means just that much to us, particularly if we have to deal with the possibility of a person who's already said that he will do dictatorish things to the presidency. We have to hold him up for that. Mac, Calvin, everybody else, Madam Producer, we can't do it without you and your great team over there at Go Giga. We appreciate you so much. All of our everybody out there in Dozell who does this program every Monday night, who looks at it during the week afterwards, who refer others to it. We love you and appreciate you. Thank you so very much. We're dedicating tonight's show to the memory of Brother Dexter King, who is the third child of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther and Mrs. Coretta Scott King. Of the four children, two of them have now perished. Yolanda's gone. She's the oldest. Dexter is the third, leads Martin Luther King the third, and Reverend Bernice King are still with us. And our hearts go out to the King family and everybody in that community, the civil rights community, who knew them as little children. He did great things. Dexter did great things. Do you know he met with James Earl Ray and came away with the conclusion that he was a part of he was a fall guy for his father's assassination. He met with him in prison. He's the president of the King Foundation and the King the King Center there in Atlanta. And he left us today. The good Lord called him home, and our prayers go out to his wife and to his siblings and to everybody who is affected by his leaving us today. This episode of Dialogue with Dozie, dedicated to the loving memory of Dexter King. See you all next week.